What is up guys, in today's video we are going to learn about keyword const. So keyword const is basically like you type this keyword constant and then any variable. For example, we have our integer and int dragon, mess that up. Okay, int dragon is initialized to 5, and now if we gonna see out dragon, and then dragon will print out. So that's pretty simple. But the keyword const basically means that this variable is gonna be constant. So now for example we want to change dragon, so we type dragon and then we set it equal to 55. Okay, now if we go and build and run, it gives us an error. Now this error is because we use the word constant, and we told our compiler that, hey compiler, the variable I'm about to build is gonna be constant variable, so whoever wants to change it in the future program, give an error. So that's why it gave an error in line number 9. Now that was the first aspect of this video. We are using the const keyword for variables. Now we're gonna use in functions. So in order to do that, first we're going to build a regular function, and then after that we're going to run that function, and then we're going to build a constant. Basically we'll use constant objects in functions, basically to call those functions or to use them. So what do? Is we go in our cpp file, and over here we have our constructor built for us. So let's keep that constructor empty, and now we're gonna build a void function, a regular function that's gonna do nothing but print something. So what we're gonna do is we're going to write tiger, since tiger is our class, and then double colon and then the function name. So our function name would be print something, and print something is gonna hold empty parameters, and the body we can see out anything like, let me just go and build a template, anything like I'm gonna print Dominic. Pretty stupid, and I know Dominic is spelled wrong, so well I guess that's spelled right. Okay, so now if we go in our tiger.h, and now this time we want to prototype it. So remember, when the classes are being used in separate files, the prototype is a little different. So we're gonna write void and then the name of our function. We're gonna skip this part, so we're just gonna prototype this void part and our function name with a semicolon. So paste that and add a semicolon. And now if we go in our main.cpp, let's just quickly clear this. Okay, now if we build our objects, or building objects was easier than before. Just type your class name and object. I'm gonna name mine TIOBJ. That's gonna be my object, and in order to use that object, I'm gonna go TIOBJ with a dot operator and then our function. There we go. Now it should run error free. So now if we go and build and run this program, it prints out Dominic. So we were used to do this in our previous tutorials, and now the second aspect of this tutorial, that is, we're gonna use constant keyword in our objects. So we go in our tiger.cpp, and in order to build our constant functions. So constant functions are built just like these functions. So copy this, but there's a little difference. The difference is that you type the keyword const in between your parentheses and in between your curly brackets. And I'm gonna change this function to print something too, and I'm gonna change the text to Toretto. You guessed it. And I know I spelled Toretto wrong, but let's just spell it correct. There we go. So now in order to prototype this constant function, we will go in our tiger.h file. Now that we are in our tiger.h file, everything remains the same. We just wanna copy this, paste this over here, and our function name was changed to print something 2, and one little thing was added, that was const constant. And if we go to our tiger.cpp, remember this, keep this in your brain. We are going to tiger.cpp. Basically we just skipped this part, and in order to prototype we just typed void print something 2 parameters and const keyword and a semicolon at the end. We're just skipping this tiger and colon part for prototyping in our .h header file. See, it's pretty much the same except for the semicolon. And now in order to use this constant function, we go in our main, and now is a little tricky part. Now this is something different part, but not that different. We first type the word const and then our class name. So our class name was tiger, come on, tiger. And now we're gonna create our object. So in order to create the object, the convention is that what programmers usually do is they name their objects so that they later remember that this object was a constant object. So I'm gonna name mine TIOBJC, and that will see, that's for me, for my explanation, that little c represents that this is a constant function and the object is also constant. So now that we have our constant object, and now it's the time to build our constant function, to call our constant function, not build our constant function. So what do is we don't type const this time, we already did it before. So pretty simple, TIOBJ, basically this whole thing, TIOBJ and the C. And now we're gonna use a dot operator and print something, not 1 because 1 was a regular function. Now this time we're gonna use print something 2. So take that, add a semicolon, and now it should be printing Dominic in the first line and Toretto in the second line, pretty much. See, Dominic Toretto, there we go. Dominic Toretto, you are now sentenced to 25 years in the blah 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 prison of California. See what I mean? Now this was our regular function and this was our constant function. So that's pretty much your constant objects and functions. Basically the keyword, the use of keyword const. And const means that you cannot later change it on whatsoever conditions. You cannot change your variable, you cannot change your object. So that's pretty much your tutorial for const keyword. And now again, what's the use of const keyword? It's basically if you want something or you want your functions not to be modified, then we're gonna use const functions. So later on when we are building like professional programs with 1,000 lines of code, then definitely these little things like const keywords will definitely come in handy, because in some places you really need to modify your functions and in some places you don't need. You just globally declare it and that's it, once and for all. Nobody can change it. So that's it for now guys. Study this tutorial and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one.